Part 47. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 462. The decoration style of the living room is not too Japanese style. It is not like Akaga's room, with carp streamers, tatami, and kotetsu. But it's not winter now, so even if there is a kotetsu, I probably won't move it out. As for Akaga's room, Zeppelin was so self-righteous that he insisted on helping Akaga decorate it. In fact, for Akaga, nothing mattered. The walls are pink and white, and there are a few graffiti on them, which are obviously the work of Xiaoxiang Leiden and several people. The ground is paved with wooden floors, and there is a metal shoe rack in the entrance, where I change my shoes from the beginning. The living room has a double-layer coffee table, sofa, and counter. There was a fruit plate prepared by Xianghe on the coffee table. On the sofa, Beizai, who had not been able to read a book, was doing nothing but rubbing the big doll. There are flower arrangements on the counter. The decoration of the living room is simple and elegant. Because Tianlong and Long Tian were not there, the floor was filled with extracurricular books, homework books, badminton rackets, etc., thrown by Xiaoxiang Leiden. The gentle and virtuous Xianghe was cooking in the kitchen, and the two sisters-in-law were the kind of people who were not interested in neatness, so they only put away all kinds of things on the floor. Just like changing her clothes, she also has the personality of a little maid. Sugu wanted to help, but there was no way. He was trapped by Xiao. Admiral. Sugu sat on the sofa, and Xiao sat next to him. Akatsuki is a ship girl, and as a ship girl whose love is more important than life, even if we haven't seen each other for a long time, her feelings will not fade easily over time. She is also a girl full of energy. She was angry at first, but it has passed. In addition, although she is a girl, she is just a girl who has just passed the Lolita age. She is not a girl who is at least a high school student like San Juan. Akatsuki does not know how to be reserved at all. Xiao looked at Sugu, eyes wide open, and leaned on Sugu again, saying, "Is Helena really in the guarding mansion?" "Yes, Helena is at the town house, and she was going to come over. Helena is the best companion, capable of bombardment and anti-submarine warfare. Apart from combat, she is also proficient in everything else, especially as a wedding ship." At first, when Helena wanted to come out, Sugu was totally willing. However, the result of the draw was Beizai. As for Beizai, not to mention lazy and homely, she needed to be taken care of like a nanny along the way. Even though the cabin has bunk beds and the north house is casual, with some small perks at night and being able to sleep with her, it still feels discouraging. "Admiral, don't squeeze over here, it's so hot. Don't touch me, it's itchy, I'm angry. Put your hand over here and use it as a pillow for me. If you want to do it, hurry up. I'll give you 5 minutes. Let's not say that I didn't mean it at all. How could it be done in 5 minutes? And what are you doing so loudly? Think about it, at least Helena would never do something like Beizai, but she was unlucky." Hearing that Helena wanted to come over but didn't, Xiao said, "It would be best if she didn't come over." Sugu said, "Are you so afraid of Helena?" Ruhi had been sitting next to him, poking the cut apples in the fruit bowl with toothpicks over and over again, and said, "Do you know why Xiao is so afraid of Helena? Xiao often plays pranks and is taught a lesson by Helena." Xiao said, "I don't get into trouble all day long, don't use the word often." Xiao continued, "Speaking of which, we were planning to go to Kyoto. Admiral, do you want to follow us? We will leave quietly without telling anyone. You disappeared quietly again, what will happen to everyone?" A faint voice came out of Ruhi's mouth, "If you dare to do such a thing, I will hang you all up." Her legs were folded over each other and placed on the lower level of the double-layered coffee table. Her long legs were slender and straight. She sneered and made a sound at this time, which was particularly suitable for her image, like a capable white-collar worker and a working woman giving orders. She doesn't talk like she usually does, she looks much more girlish. Even if it was a joke, Sugu would not do it. There must be a bottom line when joking, and leaving was obviously a bottom line that no one could accept. Sugu said, "We are going to Kyoto together. Akatsuki is a very energetic girl." Ziwihi's sinister voice frightened her a little, and she forgot about it for a long time. Xiao said, "How much is the admiral's salary? Does the admiral have a house? Does he have a car?" Sugu said, "Why do you ask these questions? You have nothing, how can Sir Xiao safely give you all your sisters?" Sugugu made an ugly expression and said, "I don't have anything, I don't do anything." The garrison was powerful, with Lexington, counterattack, Bismarck, Zeppelin, and Washington. I am not a genius among geniuses. If I only had that big-breasted and brainless idiot from York City, I could still be of many uses and truly be an admiral. There is really no other way now. Things are much better now that things have been divided, such as Admiral Seal. And you can't ignore the basics and pretend to understand for the sake of dignity. Think about it, it would be better if you, as an admiral and as a leader, can make good use of people. Despite this, Sugu knows a lot of messy knowledge and can still bring happiness to everyone. For example, if you are telling a story to a little girl, chatting with someone will not make you feel like you are talking to someone. He may not be an admiral with outstanding abilities, but he must be an admiral who works hard and strives to bring happiness and joy to everyone. Xiao spread his hands and said, "There is nothing. There is really no other way. It's better to let Master Xiao help you build the garrison. No matter what it is, the admiral can rest assured to leave it to me." Although it was difficult to handle at first, Sugu liked this little girl. Sugu stretched out his hand and rubbed Xiao's head desperately, and said, "Xiao is really sensible, I will take good care of you." Being rubbed on the head and treated as a little girl, Xiao was very unhappy and said, "Humph, take care of us, do you know what everyone likes and what they are afraid of?" Akatsuki continued, "Do you know what Hibiki likes?" Sugu said, "Such a simple question, she must like vodka. Apart from vodka, it is impossible for Laomazi to like anything else." Akatsuki said, "Hibiki doesn't like drinking, Kirov does. She likes manyayaki and senbei now, well, Akatsuki will only drink secretly." Noticing that Zhili was not around, Sugu whispered, "Don't she like aviation kerosene and alcohol shower gel?" Xiao still didn't understand so much, she said, "How to drink those? Well, let me ask you again, what is Hibiki afraid of?" Sugu wanted to say that he was afraid of leaving. After thinking about it, it was too shameless. Then he asked more shamelessly, "Do you know what she is afraid of?" "Of course I know. Hibiki is still afraid of the dark, but she doesn't even say it." As if the question was meaningless, Xiao said to herself, "Xiao has grown up, and her whole person has become strange. I know that we ship girls will be affected by the history and memory of steel, but the changes are too big. She always comes up with strange words like comrade, revisionism, and purge of counter-revolutionaries from time to time. Our school uniforms are all sailor uniforms, and Hibiki always says they are not school uniforms. Then she points to the maid uniform and says that is the only one like a school uniform. Obviously we are her sisters, but she actually didn't want to come with me and said she wanted to follow Kirov, so we could only forcefully pull her away. Anyway, Hibiki has grown up and become weird." After Xiao complained about Hibiki, he felt that it was not enough, and continued, "Lei and Dion are as difficult to deal with, they are always reckless. The two of them are always together, and Dion especially likes to stick to Lei's side. I have a room, Hibiki there is a room where Lei and Dion are the only ones in the same room. Every time I wake them up in the morning, Dion will wrap around Lei like an octopus. They are all very troublesome. Sugu said, Xiao is the eldest sister. Xiao said, as long as I can protect everyone in the 6th destroyer team, it doesn't matter how much I pay. Who makes me my sister? Sugu said, it's really amazing. Master Xiao is of course the most powerful. Xiao said, her big eyes sparkling as if they were full of little stars. The expression also seems to say, praise me more. As long as everyone likes it, Sugu is never stingy. In addition, he got a lot of training from his sister-in-law Saratoga. From time to time, she would ask you to say some touching and delicious words, regardless of whether you were embarrassed or not. Under such circumstances, Sugu developed his skills. Sugu said, Xiao, you are the light among lights. Xiao nodded. I used to think that Fletcher was the most caring sister, but after seeing Xiao, I realized that Fletcher is nothing at all. To be honest, Fletcher is the most tired sister, so Xiao is happy. You are Her Majesty the Queen Akatsuki. Xiao smiled so hard that her eyes narrowed, and she said, even if you praise me, I won't be happy. Sugu looked at Xiao. The girl was very cute and beautiful. He said, Xiao, it's really your voice. After spending 10,000 years in the darkness, your voice still shines into me like the bright moonlight in my heart. Xiao said, it's so perfunctory. What 10,000 years? The admiral is only in his 20s. Sugu said, every day is like a year. 10,000 days is not much more. Xiao, don't pay attention to so many details. You won't have any friends if you do this. Xiao said, you left on your own, it was not Master Xiao who drove you away. Then, no matter what I do, no matter what I become, I will always care about you, Xiao. Xiao approached Sugu and said, you say it so nicely, is the admiral really not going to leave? Sugu was very liberal with young girls, Lolita, and little girls. He was a shameless guy. He raised his hand to make an oath and said, Shang Xie, I want to know you, and live forever. There are no mountains, no mausoleums, no rivers, no thunder in winter, rain and snow in summer, heaven and earth are harmonious, so I dare to be with you. Can't understand. It's better if you don't understand, Sugu said, I was not born before you were born, and I am old when you were born. I am far away from you, but you are separated from me by the corner of the ocean. Still don't understand. Haha, forget it if you don't understand. Say what I understand. If you don't say it, the impact will be bad. As he said that, Sugu remembered that when he first came here, even if he wanted to touch Xiao Zai's head, he hesitated for a long time, feeling that a person couldn't be so casual. The first time I slept with Xiao Zai, I thought she was a young girl, so I let Xiao Zai sleep on the bed and I slept on the floor. In a short period of time, he has now taken the initiative to call the little girl to sleep in his room. Of course he won't do certain things, he won't touch the little girl's body, he won't kiss her on the lips. But I still kiss my forehead and cheeks, and I also like to sleep with my little girl in my arms, and then I think to myself, this is not a perverted behavior. Time is the easiest thing to change a person. The thunder and lightning at dawn is no longer a delicious Lolita. From an ordinary person's point of view, she is a girl who has already started to smoke. They are not like small houses, and they also give people the feeling of fleshy baby fat. Even though it's a destroyer, it's not easy for the girl to hug her. It's a pity that the 6 drives are available all at once. The girl Xiao half understood, Sugu smiled, and he suddenly turned around to see Ruhi biting his lip and tangling his fingers together. As if seeing her turn around, Ruhi was smiling beside her. She patted Sugu on the shoulder and said, Admiral, you pervert, you flirt with other girls, wait until Tianlong and Ryuada come back to make you look good. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 463. Ruhi kept saying that he wanted to find Tianlong and Long Tian, but to be honest, Sugu didn't have any worries. Just like when I was in the Larry mansion, I occasionally hugged Xiao Zai and occasionally hugged U-47. Even if former military police members Admiral Hipper and Blucher saw it, they had no scruples and were not even willing to hide it. Let me start by saying that my ship girl is still able to resist me. Even though she has now ascended the throne of military police captain in Plan M, she still dares to be angry and dare not speak out when she sees it. It is said that political power comes from the barrel of a gun, no matter where in the world it is. In short, Sugu was disdainful of Ruhi's threat. On the sofa, Beizai shook her head. She looked listless and wanted to sleep. Lianghe County, which she just arrived today, stayed overnight in a hotel in Hesheng yesterday, and she cultivated immortality until at least midnight. Although Sugu was in the same room with her, he wouldn't be bored watching her turn on the lamp and read a book until midnight. I just fell asleep and woke up in the middle of the night to see her still watching. When I woke up the next morning, I saw her sleeping on the bed without taking off her clothes. I thought she had at least reached the golden elixir or nascent soul stage of cultivation. I didn't sleep well at night, so naturally I can't hold on anymore, the decadent Beizai. The curry was slowly cooking in the kitchen. Xianghe had finished most of the work in the kitchen, and she walked to the living room wearing an apron. Xiao looked at Xianghe, wrinkled her nose, smelled the aroma coming from the kitchen, and said, "Sister Xianghe, is the tempura fried?" Xianghe nodded, and Xiao, who was an energetic girl, immediately jumped from Sugu's side to the ground, said I'll try it and disappeared in a flash. Xianghe's craftsmanship has always been very good. As Liuqi, who has lived with Xianghe and Ziwei for a long time, of course he knows this. Xiao ran away, and so did Lei and Dian. They were also restless girls. Ziwei doesn't have such big ideas about food. Even though she is also an aircraft carrier, she is not as obsessed with food as Akagya. She was also troubled that the coveted senior Yu Hangzan had such a hobby. Sugu wanted to try it, thinking that as an adult, being like a girl would have a bad impact. As for the little girl, there is another trust in the living room. She did not follow her sisters to join in the fun. Trust is sitting on the sofa. The admiral and the ship's wife should be close to each other, but she is reserved. Sugu thought for a while, it would be bad if he kept being reserved. He still needed to improve his good impression. He took the initiative and said, "Trust, I heard from Xiao that you wanted to be named Galina when you go to school. Why are you called Katagiri Nai now?" "Dahlia, not Galina," they felt like they wouldn't be sisters with that name. As ship girls, they will not let others know their identity easily. They have their own names in society. Xiao Xiang Leiden naturally had a pseudonym in order to go to school. In addition, as a ship girl, it is easy to obtain a legal status as long as you contact the ship girl headquarters. Sugu said, "Galina, I like the name Natalia. Of course the name of the Grand Prosecutor would be great." Trust said, "It's just a name." Thinking of the game's illustrations, Sugu also heard that there were many maids in the garrison, such as Chief Maid's Reputation, Maid's Counterattack, Germany. Trust was undoubtedly one of them. Sugu said, "Trust, remember you have a maid outfit." Trust said, "That's the school uniform." Sugu knew very well that as far as the Soviet Union was concerned, school uniforms were like maid uniforms. I remember when I saw that piece of information on the internet, I was thinking, we have learned a lot from the big brother of the Soviet Union, why did we not learn the school uniforms? From elementary school to high school, both men and women wear the same uniforms as sportswear, which is a pity. Although it is said that as long as the person is good looking, sportswear will also look good, and school uniforms with maid outfits will definitely look better. It can be said to be a school uniform or a maid outfit. Sugu Bai said, "You are holding a plate, you must be a maid." Xiangxin whispered, I'm still wearing glasses. A little maid with glasses. Zhixin raised his head and looked at Sugu, thinking to himself that he was wearing glasses and was polite, so he must be in school uniform. Sugu suddenly thought of a question and asked, Trust is a phoenix, right? That's a nickname. Reality is similar to the game, but only similar. There is no data like in the game. Lexington's aviation tactics pioneer in the game is shown here as an outstanding commanding ability. Unlike in the game, which can provide many bonuses, here you only know that there is an improvement. The performance of Bismarck's flagship killer here is that, affected by personality, only the flagship can make people confident. With better judgment, you can hit the target better. Anyway, there will be no situation where one shell turns into two. The trusted skill is called Phoenix's Protection, which can improve the armor, anti-aircraft, and evasion of yourself and your companions. It's easy to handle in the game, it's just a bunch of data, but in reality it's a bit troublesome. Sugu thought of a picture he had seen before, where a firefly was riding on Zhixin's body. Think about it, if there is an artillery fire attack, does sharing the damage between two people count as improving the armor? But with two people together, how should we increase dodge? Is it a metaphysics like luck? Sugu said with a smile, Trust, everyone said that as long as I am by your side, attacking can reduce the damage received. It is said that it is protected by the phoenix. The firefly is also called the Knight of Trust. Is she riding on you? You carrying her? When he asked such a question, he was greeted by Trust's expressionless face. Xiangxin said nothing, but Ruhi said from the side, Admiral, if you slander like this, Xiangxin will also be angry. Ziwi continued, for the same shell, if you use the flight deck to block it, it will at least be a medium breaking damage. If you use the side armor to block it, it will be a slight scratch. As long as you are next to Trust, she is very careful. Not only can take good care of yourself, but also take good care of the people around you and remind them what they should do. So everyone says it is the guardian of the phoenix. What kind of explanation is yours? Of course Sugu was joking, he just felt that a reserved girl like Xiangxin couldn't be strict. He looked at Xian covering the lower half of his face with a book, looking shy, and he was silent for a moment. Comrade, trust in comrades, I also believe in socialism. Trust, do you know the difference between socialism and communism? If you don't speak, then you don't know. Socialism is the primary stage of communism. What is the difference between capitalism and socialism? Ruhi sat next to Sugu. Every time Sugu said something, she followed him in a low voice. The favorable opinion is reduced by 1. The favorable opinion is reduced by 1. The favorable opinion is reduced by 1. Sugu finally couldn't stand it anymore and glared at Ruhi, feeling very annoyed. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 464. Xiao, Lei, and Den ran to the kitchen to try Xianghe's cooking skills. Although many garrison offices are very strict about rules, and they are strict about getting up, eating, studying, and sleeping, Sugu does not take the rules very seriously. Anyway, there are no outsiders here, so we don't care about such small things. They ran to the kitchen and came out soon after. Lei and Den held sushi in their hands and chewed fried shrimps in their mouths. Akatsuki even brought out the whole plate of tempura. Xianghe worked from noon to evening to prepare it, and it was unexpectedly exquisite. Xianghe said, "It's not time to eat yet." Xiao put her hands on her hips and said, "I just brought it out in advance." Lexington could probably teach people, but Xiaokeiku was a doting wife. She had a helpless expression on her face, and she didn't reprimand or stop Akatsuki's actions. Ziwihi waved to Akatsuki, motioning to bring it over. She took a shrimp, Shugo took an eggplant, and Xiao immediately put the tempura on the coffee table. Bizai, who was drowsy but not asleep, looked left and right, where was his own? After thinking for a while, she climbed up from the sofa. She was used to it anyway. It was a battleship, so she would naturally receive a lot of respect, but no one in the garrison took her seriously. Except for the rare times when she shows her majesty. Sugu was eating tempura and said, "It tastes good." As an admiral, he knew very well that a ship girl did not need many things, and recognition was very important. Even if we don't say approval or disapproval, people with normal emotional intelligence, unless they have a good and casual relationship, should give praise after cooking. Sugu praised him. Although Xianghe didn't show the praise me more expression like many destroyers, she smiled, which was obviously very helpful. Xianghe is the gentle wife, and Ziwihi is the troublemaker. She said, "Who do you think is better at cooking, sister or Lexington?" "Lexington is also good at cooking." Sugu said, "Everyone has his own style. What Lexington is good at is different from what Xianghe is good at. At least tempura is not as good as Xianghe. He won't give an evaluation, who is good or bad, and he is not an idiot. Everyone is acquaintances, not strangers, and word of mouth spreads easily. Lexington, said to be his wife, she is the hidden devil." Xianghe, wearing an apron, reminded Sugu of Lexington when he first met. However, after Lexington established the garrison and became a secretary ship, her wife was still the same and rarely cooked anymore. Very occasionally, he would go to the kitchen to prepare supper for himself. Even if it was Saratoga, he would not call his wife. In short, Sugu praised Xianghe's cooking skills and naturally ignored him if he started a fight. Ruhi said, "It's so perfunctory. Let me remind you, a man can never balance a bowl of water." Sugu thought to himself, "What a messy theory you have. As a man, he has so many weddings, he must have a bowl of water to balance them." Ruhi continued, "Are you afraid of Sister Xianghe? After all, she is also very mad and murderous when fighting." Xianghe tilted his head slightly, holding his face with one hand, his smile still helpless. "I'm afraid of what Xianghe will do. I sincerely praise him, anyway, whether it's Lexington or Xianghe, at least their skills are better than yours." Hey, I still know how to do it." Sugu said, "You probably don't know, but my cooking skills are actually very good, whether it's braised chicken, green pepper scrambled eggs, fish-flavored shredded pork or eggplant minced meat." Ruhi said, "Then let's compete." As soon as she finished speaking, Xiao said, "Sister Ruhi just wants to It was impossible to finish talking to Xiao. Ziwihi had already pinned her down on the sofa. That was Xiao's voice. Sugu looked at the two people and thought it would be better not to get involved. No matter what Bazai eats, his expression is the same. Not to mention Ziwikaku and Akatsuki, the ones with the happiest expressions while eating are Rai and Den. Thunder and Lightning, the two sisters were sitting on a sofa, eating food in their mouths, like hamsters. No matter how the game looks like, Raiden is a very beautiful girl in reality. After all, those memories in steel give the ship girl all the beauty. A beautiful personality and a beautiful appearance. The adults are tall and beautiful, the children are cute and healing, and the characters are kind and loyal. Human beings have pinned all their happiness on the ship girl. Although everyone has different ideas of beauty, some like tsundere, some like queens, some like happy foodies, some like tall beauties, some like legal Lolita, but this is why every ship girl has different personality and image origin of. Ignoring the noisy Ruhi and Hibiki beside him, Sugu leaned on the sofa and talked about the town guard mansion. Tuanxiang, Wok Erland, and Surkuf are in the same room. Their rooms are filled with Surkuf's toys. Utopian likes to run. Every morning, except for your Bismarck sister, she gets up the earliest. Well, she just likes to throw. That's right. She consumes stockings and pants the fastest. I once bought a long skirt for her and she wore it like a little princess. However, it was torn in less than a week. The queen changed the long skirt into a short skirt. If the skirt gets damaged in a few days, throw it away. Dion, I saw the Shiba Inu you fed, and I remembered that I bought a hamster for Nuangxiang before, and the hamster died within a few days. They can raise hamsters to death, don't say anything else. Otherwise, they forget to feed them. Otherwise, I feed them a lot and they feed them everything, including chocolate, ice cream, and biscuits. I even bought them a rabbit, but it died within a week because they always fed vegetables with water. They don't know how to raise anything at all. Anyway, now they are raising the 3 little wolves of U81, and they will never die no matter how hard they try. Dion said, what happened later? Was the little rabbit buried? Sugu was silent for a moment and said, they wanted to bury it, Prince Eugene took it away, and everyone ate fried jade rabbit in the evening. If you don't want your Shiba Inu to have such a fate, it would be better to leave it here, for example, give it to you the Kato-san I'm talking about, I don't know if her family provides food or not. Sugu would not allow that Shiba Inu with a bad name to enter the governor's mansion. Xiao said nonchalantly, if you don't give it away, we will eat it and it will be with us forever. Den glared, and Akatsuki said, you're kidding, you're kidding. Lan, do you know Lan? She is also a destroyer. She is a very cute child. You must be very happy to play with her. Her expression is the most exaggerated and funny, but she is a little silly. Xiaozai and the others went to play a prank, and she got it. As long as everyone asks her, she will take everyone to the scene of Xiaozai and their pranks. She is a guide. Well, don't worry, I won't play pranks on you. The pranks are all prepared for Amethyst. There are still people in the town guardhouse. There's Cushing, this kid you don't recognize, he's so energetic. You ask me how many destroyers there are now. Sigsby, Thatcher, Sullivan, Fletcher, Firefly, there are many anyway, and you definitely have no shortage of friends. Besides, Xiaozai and North Carolina are also about the same age as you. Helena is in charge of the destroyer. Xiao, you have to be careful. When you return to the town hall, you still have to go to class. Half a day of class every day, and 2 days of rest every week. You are a ship girl, and I don't expect you to go to school. Classes are still very easy. In addition to cultural classes, there are also various handicraft classes and housekeeping classes. The Queen of Heaven will teach you weaving, and London will teach you flower arranging. Denki has a Heim-style look, she looks like Yamato Nades Hiko when she doesn't speak, but when she does speak she's quite naughty. It's great. We have classes here. We have homework every day. We have to make up for exams. Those questions are really difficult. There are Chinese studies, mathematics, and foreign languages. Admiral, you are back. I will tell the teacher tomorrow, I won't be in class anymore. Sister Xianghe, please don't touch my head, it's not a rude thing to say, and I was just joking. I remembered that the teacher sent out a survey report and asked us what career we wanted to do in the future. 2 people in our class were very stupid. One said that he wanted to be a college student in the future. What kind of career is a college student? One said that he would be a housewife in the future. Her childhood sweetheart is very powerful, and she said it would be nice to marry her childhood sweetheart. The most troublesome thing is that we just arrived at school and were still very tall at that time. A year has passed and many people have caught up with us. Kanji girls will not grow taller casually like ordinary people. Once they grow up, they will become very tall. Hi. Like Z1 and Z16, they feel like adults as soon as they grow up. Hee hee, I still remember that they always don't wear pants. Originally, Sister Tianlong Ryuada said that when we reach the senior grade, everyone will move, we have to transfer schools, otherwise our heights will be too weird. Dion was talking about his school affairs and suddenly said, Admiral, after we return to the town hall, can I be alone in the same room with Sister Lei? Most destroyers live in rooms with several people, and Sugu doesn't mind giving everyone a room if they want. Let them share the same room, just for the convenience of taking care of them, and it is better to have familiar people to play with and sleep together. Sugu said, of course there is no problem. Well, but you only share a room with your sister Lei, what about your sister Xiao and sisters Hickson? Before Dion could speak, Xiao swung her legs beside her and said, Dion is the most attached to Lei. She is always with Lei. She is a super sister. It doesn't count that they sleep in the same room. In the past, I wanted to help them buy bunk beds. No, I want a big bed. Even in the dead of winter, they cover each other with a quilt and hug each other when they sleep at night. Lei was extremely arrogant. She scratched her hair and said, I don't want to be in the same room with Dion. She is already an adult, but Dion always can't grow up. She is the youngest sister. I must be the older sister, you have to take care of her and worry about whether she will roll out of bed at night. In particular, sometimes she is in a daze and can hit telephone poles while walking. Once in the wild, she even fell into a farmland. I had a good meal when I came back and was scolded. In history, during the Jeju Island exercise, Den accidentally collided with the Miyuki, causing damage to the bow of the ship, and the Miyuki sank. Electricity, which was born in the history and memory of steel, probably has a confusing character. Hearing Lei talk about his embarrassment, Dion was unhappy and said, Lei, don't you also like to do some unreasonable things? You are also reckless. Ray said, you can't walk when you see a beautiful dress, like a child. What's wrong with girls liking beautiful clothes? Well, when we go out together, people who don't know me say I look like a sister. Since you said you are like a sister, then don't sleep with me at night. Rare. Lei and Dion were sitting on a sofa, staring at each other like vindictive little hens. Xiao said next to them, then Dion will sleep in my room at night. Let Ray go, that's my room and my bed. Then Lei go sleep in my room. Let the electricity go. Xiao smiled and stuck out the tip of her tongue towards Sugu. It was getting dark. Xianghe went to the kitchen, and came out soon after. She called Liuqi to prepare the dishes and serve the dishes. Sugu wanted to help, but after thinking about it, he decided to forget it, such a small thing. After everyone served the food, Beizai fell asleep beside the sofa. Sugu immediately woke up Beizai. In the Tutlari mansion, everyone must eat dinner together. This is a rule, unless you really have something important to do. This is probably because Sugu was influenced by his family. When he was a child, no matter how late it was, he would wait until his father came back from work, then eat together, and then go to bed after eating. Otherwise, just casually, you eat first today and she eats first tomorrow, and the home doesn't even feel like home. Xiao ordered a bowl of miso soup. She tapped the table with her chopsticks and said, Tianlong and Sister Tatsuda went out in the morning and said they wouldn't be back at night, and maybe the day after tomorrow. Sugu said, Tianlong and Ryuada work as military police, as do Admiral Hipper and Blucher. Ziwikaku said, you don't make much money doing ordinary jobs. If you want to support Akatsuki Raiden, you have to work as a ship girl. There are only so many kinds of jobs as a ship girl. Go to work at the ship girl headquarters, or work on a passenger ship as a guard of the cargo ship, or even if you accept the commission as a ship's mercenary, you won't be able to find many kinds of jobs. Sugu said, it is still very profitable to be a lawyer in Washington. There are a few people with Washington's ability. Even Lexington is not as good as Washington. Washington, the great president. Otherwise, how about becoming an idol? Idol on tour again, Ogan Ojanu. There are many Prince Eugen, but not all of them can be idols. If one Prince Eugen becomes an idol, there will be idols everywhere. Eugen, oh, it's a cult. Our Prince Eugen has returned to the garrison. I haven't heard her sing. She has always been with Bismarck. Well, I like Quincy Quinn. Bizai said, King Yi Ziasen. Ruhi said, Liao Khan is an idiot. When Xiao heard everyone's words, she slapped the table and said, look at my expression, look at my expression. Ovo. Now I got punched and turned into panda eyes. Ovo. The mouth was crooked. Oh yo. Hands up and cheering. / ovo / shock. OAO. Sugu said, Xiao, that expression you made is that of North Carolina. Xiao said, humph, after all, only Sister Quincy is the #1 idol on the heavy tour. Xiao continued, when I went to Kyoto before, there were also Kanban girls performing. Anyway, all our votes went to Quincy. Xianghe said, it's funny. Lei and Dion clasped their hands together, and said, Ba, please vote for Quincy. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 465. Yukata cannot be regarded as a formal kimono, but can only be said to be a simplified version of the kimono. Just wear a yukata and a pair of clogs. You don't even need to wear an undergarment. If it's more extreme, you can even wear no underwear. In the tutelage, Akage likes Japanese clothing, such as kimonos, maiko uniforms, etc. Sometimes she wears a kimono and sometimes she walks around in a yukata. Sugu had seen her in a bathrobe many times. It was still difficult to take a good bath on the passenger ship, even though I stayed at the hotel in Crane City for one night. It's not a cheap hotel on the roadside. It's no problem to take a bath in a high-end hotel. Seeing that they would arrive home the next day, even Xianghe and Ruhi, who loved cleanliness, were not willing to bother, let alone the immortal cultivator Beizai. After finally getting home, I had no idea during the day. It was only after dinner that I remembered that I should take a shower. Beizai was the first to take a bath. After all, she was about to fall asleep, so everyone thought it was better to give her a bath first. After washing by then, you can go to bed directly if you want, or you can continue cultivating immortality. Beizai entered the bathroom and spent a long time. It was not until Ruhi knocked on the door that a feeble voice came from inside. After dinner, he decided not to go out in the evening, so Ziwahi finally found a yukata for Beizai to change into. Although his expression was still a little confused, he still looked sleepy after taking a shower. Her medium-long pink hair, which is slightly above her shoulders, is simply tied up with a hairpin. The pink hair looks loose. In addition, Ruhi had already helped her put on the yukata and tie the single belt. Probably because of the heat, he stretched out his hand and pulled the collar. Suddenly, a lot of fair skin was exposed under the yukata, including most of the shoulders and collarbones. She never paid much attention to her own image, so that was pretty much it. Although he won't be sloppy every day, he won't be as meticulously dressed as Lexington every day. Even if you are already very beautiful, you still need to wear some light makeup. She just wore whatever she wanted. She also wore pajamas and slippers to have breakfast, and she also wore her sister Bismarck's clothes casually. Her figure is already taller and plumper than Shokakuzi Wikaku. When several people stand together, it's not about who is more beautiful. Each of them has its own charm. However, many things are based on comparison. Compared with the image of Beizai in the past, today's Beizai has an unparalleled impact on people, and it really makes Sugu feel amazing. Beizai is too cute and beautiful. Ruhi stood behind Beizai. She put her hands on Beizai's shoulders and said with a smile, Admiral, What do you think of Bazai? This is the yukata I helped choose, and I also tied up my hair. Sugu looked at Bazai and said against his will, well, that's good. Is it okay if you can see straight with your eyes? It's really beautiful. Seeing Sugu's appearance, Ruhi smiled. She hugged Bazai's neck and said, Bazai, you still have a lot of capital. As long as you work a little harder, you will be the boss in the guardhouse. Trouble. Bazai was not interested at all in Ruhi's words. It's really troublesome. She didn't care about these things. At this time, she only felt a little uncomfortable wearing clogs. In addition, he felt that Ruhi felt even hotter against him, so he stretched out his hand and scratched his neck in an indistinct manner. Without any idea, she returned to the living room and continued to lie on the sofa. Her sleeping posture had no beauty or temptation at all, and only gave people a feeling of decadence. Admiral, why are you looking at me like this? It feels weird. Sugu said quietly, Bazai, Bazai, give me back the beautiful girl in my yukata. What? I don't understand what you mean. Don't bother me. After all, she destroyed Sugu's image in his mind. After Bazai finished washing, Sugu was also ready to take a shower. As he walked, he unbuttoned his clothes and heard Bazai's voice, Admiral, I see you like bathrobes, so you can wear them too. I just think you look good in a yukata, not that I like wearing yukata, idiot. Sugu said, I won't wear it. Ruhi was very excited and said, don't be shy, I'll get it for you. Sugu said coldly, bring your clothes, what if I wear them? Okay, wait a minute. Ziwihi immediately went and brought out a lot of clothes, including kimonos, yukatas, and ordinary skirts. She showed a provocative look in her eyes. In the end, Sugu was defeated. She couldn't afford to offend him, as her sister-in-law was always a troublemaker. Sugu quickly came out of the shower, put on his original clothes, and then let Xianghe go. Sugu returned to the living room. Ruhi looked at him with a smile and said, the admiral broke his promise and got fat. Making trouble. I dare to wear men's clothes, but you don't dare to wear women's clothes, Admiral. Sugu said angrily, sorry, I'm not a big shot in women's clothing. I won't go out anyway, it doesn't matter. I won't wear it whether I go out or not. Sugu looked at Ruhi, and was involuntarily attracted to Bazai. He thought of the scene in the anime, I think about it, don't you usually wear a yukata to go to a temple fair? Ziwihi showed a teasing smile and said, Bazai Bazai, I just said that you look beautiful in a yukata. Look, the admiral is moved. Oh. Bazai was unmoved, and Ruhi finally gave up. She spread her hands and said, go to temple fairs, watch festivals, watch fireworks, and fish for goldfish. The admiral has great ideas, it's a pity that Lianghe County is too deserted at night, and there is only one convenience store. The store is open. Unlike in Sichuanshu, the lights are brightly lit at night, and there are all kinds of shops and night market stalls. There are also performances on the bridge, although the songs are quite bad. I also saw a person on the floor, lying down and sitting. It's clear whether it counts as martial arts or yoga. In fact, Sugu also knew that there were not so many temple fairs and festivals. He just saw the Yukata North House and thought of temple fairs. Since he didn't, when he heard Ruhi talking about Chuangziu, he had stayed there for a long time and said, you're doing yoga, you must be performing kung fu. Is that considered a performance of kung fu? If it's martial arts, that's fine. Otherwise, it's like I saw a performance before, a person holding a steel gun, with the tip of the gun against his throat, and the other end of the gun against the wall. He walked forward step by step. As I walked forward, the steel gun was bent. If it wasn't a man, I would have thought it was a ship girl, but that person was just posing there, which was not interesting at all. There was a cardboard box in front of me, and I looked at it. No one was going to it at all. Throw money in there. Sugu said, no one pays for this kind of performance. Well, I remember that I used to be a street vendor in Leipzig, selling handicrafts. Why did she go to sell handicrafts? Sugu glanced at Bazai. They were both married and sister-in-law. Why were Bazai and Saratoga so different? He said, Leipzig used to work as an assistant, and her boss didn't pay her salary. The bastard boss doesn't pay wages, so we can only use notebooks to pay wages. The original price of notebooks was more than 100 and 200, but now they only cost 99. Ruhi didn't understand the joke, so she said, not to mention buying a book for more than 100 or 200, even buying a book for 99 is still a money grab. Bizai said from the side, I haven't paid my salary to Leipzig. Admiral, please don't slander me. Hearing Bazai's words, it turned out that Bazai was the boss, and Ruhi nodded to show that he understood. Bazai suddenly felt very unhappy. Even though he was such a good boss, he still provided food and accommodation. Ignoring Bazai, Ruhi continued, it's the most uncomfortable thing I've ever seen. I don't mean it's uncomfortable, it looks a bit scary, like that kind of beauty in a bottle. A porcelain vase is placed on a shelf, and there's a human head on it. And can still speak. I thought it was a fake, but there was clearly nothing under the shelf. I felt really scared, wondering what was in the bottle. Could it be internal organs? Anyway, after I only saw it once, I didn't dare to look at it again. Sugu had watched similar decryption programs before. He said, it's all fake. It looks like there is nothing there, but in fact there are two mirrors there. When you see the mirror just reflects the wall next to it. It's like there's nothing. Don't know. You are stupid. Who are you talking about? Sugu also talked about some other unpopular knowledge, such as why he heard a knock on the door but couldn't see anyone when he opened the door. Not only do I know a lot about astronomy, but I also know a lot about geography. In order to prepare for the exam, I saw a lot of things and learned a lot. In addition, compared to Ruhi, he has experienced the era of information explosion, and he knows much more than Ruhi. Ruhi is completely like a primary school student in front of him. Speaking of which, there is some magic. Put the match on the card, bend the card and you can see the match levitating. In fact, there are transparent elastic filaments on the card, and the filaments lift the match, and then the audience you can't see the fine threads clearly from a distance. That's it? I've learned a lot. Ruhi listened, and even though she didn't want to admit it, she had to admit that Sugu knew much more than she did. Then I was a little happy. My admiral was quite powerful. In fact, not only Ziwihi, but Liuki also listened with interest. The only person who felt discouraged was Bazai, where she squinted her eyes, so Sugu raised his hand. Admiral, why did you hit me? It's nothing, I just want to hit you. Bazai touched his thigh and said, it hurts a lot. Sugu knew very well that Bazai was here to save energy and prepare for the next battle. After all, night is here and a new day is about to begin. Soon after, Xianghe finished taking a shower and said hello, while Ziwihi left reluctantly. Xianghe was also wearing a yukata, and she said, Admiral, what did you just say? I just talked about some trivia about astronomy and geography. Starting from noon, I prepare a sumptuous dinner. After dinner, I have to clean up the dishes and take a shower. Sugu always saw Xianghe's relaxed expression and said, I see you have been busy all day. Got used to. When everyone finishes taking a shower, are you going to do laundry again? Xianghe said, I'll wash it again tomorrow. She said goodbye and made up her mind to wash the clothes after everyone was done. Sugu wanted to say, you are really a wife, almost like Lexington. After thinking about it, comparing one woman to another is the most unwise behavior, so forget it. Xianghe saw Bazai resting and said, Bizai's yukata belongs to Ziwahi. Sugu said maliciously, I just said that Bizai is so crowded with clothes. The admiral is slandering Ziwahi again. It doesn't matter if the yukata is bigger or smaller. Sugu touched his nose, feeling a little embarrassed. Xianghe put his hands gracefully on his legs, raised his head and looked at the ceiling, and said, I see that Ruhi is very happy to be around you these days. Being with Ruhi makes me happy too. Thinking in his mind, Sugu asked, isn't she happy before? No, we have been to many places together and went to see some circuses, but judging from her expressions, she is also very happy. It's just that she is happy, and sometimes she suddenly becomes silent, probably because she is thinking about you. Sugu apologized and said, I did it for a reason. I don't mean to blame you. I'm fine now, I won't leave, Xianghe, I remembered. Every time I'm with you, I always talk about Ruhi. Xianghe hesitated and said, mainly, I don't have anything to say. Sugu thought for a moment and said, let me ask, is your luck really that bad? Speaking of this, Xianghe showed a pitiful expression and said, my luck is so bad, and I don't know why. Anyway, if I encounter a lottery outside, Ziwahi will win the first prize. I just thank you for your patronage. If I attack, I'm always injured and Ziwakaku is intact. Sugu smiled and said, you will be responsible for the victim? Xianghe showed a troubled expression. Sugu saw a towel draped over Xianghe's shoulders, and his slightly damp long hair was draped on the towel. He said, I don't usually wash my hair at night if I have long hair. It's hard to dry it. I haven't washed my hair properly in the past few days. There is a lot of dust, it doesn't matter if it's a little wet. It doesn't matter if you sleep. She is a ship girl anyway, so she won't have a headache. If Admiral is worried, please stay with us more and let it dry. I don't have any problem with accompanying the beautiful lady. Admiral, you are really good at talking. I remember you always braiding a bunch of hair in the past, but when I see you these days, you don't braid it. It's too troublesome. Then, what do you think looks good, Admiral? I think it's fine if the hair is long and straight, there's no need to go to the trouble of braiding it. Then I won't make it up. As long as you think it looks good. Women, let them please those who please you. Sugu said, there is no need to care about me. Xianghe continued, you are the admiral, we are ship girls, and every ship girl cares about the admiral's opinion. Not necessarily. I've seen many ship girls in the academy complain about their admirals and wish they could kill their admirals. It's not what you think. The admiral himself knows it, right? How should we describe that feeling? We can complain about the admiral ourselves. The admiral is a bastard and the admiral is a fool. Just like Ruhi often calls the admiral a bastard or a fool, but who speaks ill of the admiral in front of her? She was the first to disagree. Sugu smiled and said, Xianghe, you are reminding me. I finally know that Ruhi said a lot of bad things about me. Xianghe showed a too bad expression and said, the admiral won't get angry because of such trivial things. Sugu said, please cooperate, this is boring. You are the admiral, and we are the ship girls. Admiral is a profession, and ship girl is also a thoughtful being. Xianghe put a finger on her lips, showing a thoughtful expression, and said, those words you said to Xiao at the beginning were all poems from the old world. In fact, I also know some, let me think about it. After a moment, as if he suddenly understood, Xianghe continued, I finally remembered that the moment when the admiral and the ship girl met, it was easy to write a poem. When the golden wind and jade do meet, they will win over countless others in the world. Sugu looked at Xianghe and smiled slightly, giving people a warm feeling. Xianghe. What's wrong? Sugu turned around, lowered his head, and said, it's nothing. Staring at his feet, Sugu thought of Lexington and that brave push. He thought again of Bismarck, who clearly valued his serious image the most. When they first met, he clenched his fists to his cheeks and made a meow sound, which was touching. As for Xianghe now, his poems are obviously embarrassing and don't match, but his natural expressions and smiles make people feel the emotion. When you meet someone, you spend your whole life. Really, every sister is not simple. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 466. Xiaoxiang Liden went to play with her friends. They have lived here for such a long time, and they are energetic and lovely girls. They have many friends in school and on the street. They all also knew that since the admiral was back, he would return to the garrison in the future. As I have already said, the garrison is far away and it will take several days to get there by boat. Back at the Tutelary mansion, we were so far apart that it was a bit difficult to see each other again. It was not something that could be solved in a few hours' drive. Even as a pen pal, if you want to send a letter, it takes a long time to go back and forth. The admirals will be together anyway, so it will be difficult for friends to meet again. Cherish the last time, talk more, play more, and do mischievous things that you wanted to do before but didn't dare to do, such as beating up someone you hate, and saying goodbye. Xiaoxiang Liden is not around, and there is much less noise. Ziwei plans to take everyone around the county. Temple Fair. There are no temple fairs, only festivals. Then where to go? Let's take a walk first, and then, I know a place with a beautiful beach. Everyone decided to go out, but Bizai wanted to stay in the room. It's hard to go out, but still stay at home. What kind of words does it sound like? Of course Sugu disagreed with Bizai's request. Thinking about it, I used to like to stay at home during summer vacations, but my parents reminded me that I should go out and play with others during the holidays. Bizai, go out. I do not want to go out. If you don't go out, then I won't be polite. Bizai looked up at Sugu and said, how can you be so rude? Sugu had no choice but to carry Bismarck out and threaten him. Threats don't count, just sticks and carrots. He also claimed that when he returns to the garrison in the future, he can ask Bismarck to be more relaxed. In this way, it was finally possible to drag Bizai out, who kept saying that he didn't want to go out. Along the way, Bizai kept nagging, the admiral agreed, you promised, and you can't go back on your word. Are you still young? Are you a small house? Besides, I am the most trustworthy person. Bizai whispered, who believes it? The county town is not big, just an ordinary county town. It is neither prosperous nor a tourist city. We walked around the county town and then went to the beach. Although Ruhi said that the beach at the seaside is beautiful, Sugu would probably agree in the past. When I came to this world, I saw too many seas and beaches. Besides, the garrison is usually built far away from human habitation. This is already the case. If possible, of course I will choose a place with beautiful scenery. Outside the town's mansion, there were golden beaches and clear water. The sun shines on the sea and the sea breeze blows, giving people a sparkling feeling. Compared with my own town, the beach here is a little worse. Leaving the beach, we came to the only pier in the county. This pier was even worse. The stench of dead fish and shrimps could be smelled everywhere. The pier is full of fishing boats of all sizes. The only attraction is a big boat with oversized fishing nets and spear guns. Ziwei looked at the ship and said, that's a whaler. She continued, it looks big. Generally, no ship girls will escort whalers. Firstly, there is no need for fishing boats. Secondly, I feel very sad when I see those huge whales being hoisted. I don't know why, especially I don't want to see whales and dolphins being killed. Probably when you are sailing on the sea, you will occasionally encounter dolphins, killer whales and interact with you. She smiled bitterly and then said, I feel like a hypocrite when I say this, we don't have the right to accuse right and wrong. We usually eat a lot of pork and beef, and we have also eaten whale meat. Sugu said, a gentleman is like an animal, when he sees it alive, he cannot bear to see it die, when he hears its sound, he cannot bear to eat its flesh. This is why a gentleman is far away from the kitchen. Ruhi tilted his head and said, I don't understand. Sugu shrugged his shoulders, feeling a little helpless. Ruhi said, it's okay, I just wanted to express my feelings casually. Leaving the pier, everyone prepared to go to the shrine. Instead of taking a bus, I walked all the way to the outskirts of the county seat. The shrine is halfway up the mountain and can be climbed up by a long flight of steps. Before going up the mountain, I saw a variety of masks sold at the roadside shops at the foot of the mountain. Ruhi was the most interested. She said, everyone, let's buy a mask. As she spoke, she had already picked up a fox mask. First, I put it on my face and looked in the mirror in the store. She took it off again without changing the mask, and put the mask sideways on her head again. Look left and right, nod. Baizai found it interesting and said, I want one too. There are many types of masks, some are too weird and some are too cartoony. After picking and choosing, everyone bought one. Sugu asked for a samurai mask, while Baizai asked for a mask that was black and white. Xianghe didn't want it at first, but Ziwei said, everyone come out together, don't spoil the fun, so she finally asked for a white cat mask. Then everyone walked along the long steps at the bottom of the mountain. Ziwei said, there is a shrine up there. The shrine used to want Sister Xianghe to perform as a shrine maiden, but in the end she refused. What show? I didn't ask in detail. I refused at the beginning. I wasn't too clear, I remembered something and forgot, I remembered it. By the way, does Admiral know about the kukazu? Ask Sister Xianghe to help you make the kukazu. You must like it. Sugu was a little confused, but Ruhi explained. He looked at Xianghe, who blushed with embarrassment. Chewing wine, okay, even for a beautiful woman like Xianghe, it still feels a bit strange and unbearable. There are many short statues of gods on the roadside, and there are offerings in front of the statues. Sugu said, it's okay to see these statues during the day, but if you come here at night, they feel a little scary and intrusive. Admiral, do you know what it is? Quesadagarba. You actually know. No need to sigh, I know many of them, such as Zashikidaji, Ibarakadaji, Shutendaji, Tamamome. Sugu has been interested in various myths before, and he also liked to draw when he was in junior high school. First, he painted beautiful girls, and secondly, he painted monsters. He also thought of the anime he had watched before, the story of the Monogatari series, and it happened that the story of Uphill was somewhat similar to that in the anime, and indeed he still liked Sengoku Nade's Hiko better. Sugu continued, I believe there are 8 million gods here. Rather than saying they are gods, I think it is more reliable to say they are monsters. Ziwei said, there are still some villagers who treat us Kanyang as gods. I also heard them discussing Kanyang and Takamagahara with great interest, we all live in the Tutelari residence. Sugu said, you are a god, and you live in the Tutelari mansion. I am the owner of the Tutelari mansion. The Tutelari mansion is Takamagahara, so I am considered the Amaterasu great god. Ziwei bared his teeth and said, Amaterasu is a female. Sugu's expression suddenly turned ugly. After walking along the steps for a long time, Bizai said impatiently, are you not there yet? Ziwei looked up and said, we've already seen the torii, it's almost time. It didn't take long for everyone to reach halfway up the mountain, where the shrine was. Even after a catastrophe, faith remains unchanged. As long as there are fears and expectations, people will place their future on gods and faith. Sugu only believed that there has never been a savior, nor a god or emperor. Well, he was accustomed to the attitude of respecting ghosts and gods and staying away from them. The shrine was not abandoned. Everyone stood outside and said a few words. After a while, they saw a Miko in a red Miko costume. The witch is not very beautiful, but has a very dignified temperament. G hairstyle, long black hair tied up with cloth strips. She was sweeping the floor with a broom and was a little surprised to see a few people. Xianghe was familiar with the Miko, so she walked up to talk to the Miko. Ruhi took Sugu and Beizai to the shrine's worship hall, which was tilted up on both sides of the roof, and then threw some change into the donation box with wooden lattice. Bang bang bang. She clapped her hands a few more times, clasped her hands together and prayed. Then he stretched out his hand and pulled the thick hemp rope hanging down. After shaking it twice, the wind chimes on the hemp rope made a ringing sound. After the prayer, Beizai asked, Ruhi, what wish did you make? Ziwihi smiled and said, bless the Admiral for being an African. Sugu sneered and said, if you say your wish, it won't work. Ziwihi said, of course I didn't make that wish. Well, Admiral, you should also pray. Then Sugu prayed, and when the prayer was over, Ziwihi asked doubtfully. Sugu said, I've said it all, but my wish won't work if I say it. As he said this, he thought to himself that his wish was that everyone would be safe and go smoothly. After a moment, he suddenly thought that every time he made a wish before, he had this wish, hoping that his family would be safe. However, when I came to this world, I could never go back, and I didn't know what happened to my parents. I hope they are safe and sound. My son is a little unfilial. Sugu was in a bad mood. Even Ruhi could tell that something was wrong. She said, Admiral, what's wrong with you? Nothing happened. Beizai pursed her lips. She walked to Sugu's side, picked up Sugu's hand, put a sign on it, and said, Admiral, here you go, good luck. The trip to the shrine was somewhat anticlimactic. On the way down the mountain, Ziwikaku asked again, Admiral, do you want to go fishing? Sugu shook his head and said, forget it, my fishing skills are terrible, and I especially have no patience. After leaving the shrine and returning home, it was already afternoon, and Sugu finally felt better. At home, Xianghe wanted to continue preparing dinner. Sugu said that he wanted to show off his skills, and Ziwihi also wanted to show off. Admiral, let's compete. Who is the referee? Sister, Beizai, and Xiao Xiang Liden. Ruhi looked confident, but Sugu was a little panicked. He said, we are good at different dishes, how can we compare? Ruhi said, then we will all cook Chinese food, and you can choose what to cook. Beizai said, Shiji. Compared to Saratoga, Ziwihi is better at housework or cooking, but there are still many differences between her sister-in-law and sister-in-law. In the evening, Liuki came back and had dinner. Although Ziwihi was confident that everyone was a well-matched opponent. After dinner, everyone talked in the living room. Sugu said, it's a little strange. Tianlong and Long Tian still haven't come back. Ruhi didn't pay attention. She said, their work is busy when they are busy, and when they are free, they are free. And they will protect themselves. Many people are used to talking about Kanyang headquarters. In fact, Kanyang headquarters is a very general term, and it has quite a few branches under its jurisdiction, one level at a time. Prosperous counties have branches. Even if the surrounding sea area is safe, a city has at least one branch, such as the Sichuan Show Department. Sichuan Show Department has no sense of existence at all because of the relationship with the Naval Academy. In addition to the branches in a city, the higher level ones are the branches of high-ranking officials, such as the branch where the enterprise is located. As for small counties like Lianghe County or inland cities, one office is usually arranged. Tianlong Ryuada works in such an office and is responsible for the military police. Their character is like that, like a disciplinary committee member, they are just suitable to be military police, at least more suitable than Admiral Hipper and Blucher. Of course, because of the establishment relationship, large companies have a clear division of labor, while small companies pay attention to snake oil. Tianlong and Longtian, in addition to the work of the military police, still have a lot of work to do. When Shokaku and Ziwikaku go out, Tianlong Ryuada will take care of the house. If there are no adults, it will be okay for a day or two, but for a long time, Ryuki will be able to make a difference, and they can all plan to go to Kyoto. Usually Tianlong and Longtian go out for a day or two, but this time they didn't come back for several days. Sugu was a little worried. After they were transformed in the game, they became the captain of the expedition team and had no control over them. They are light cruisers, unlike Bazai and Bismarck. As long as they are not too desperate, they can challenge those powerful deep-sea ship girls. The deep-sea ship girls that usually appear can be completely crushed with unparalleled power. Nothing will happen to them. Stop being so cynical and stop raising flags. Sugu said, I have an idea. There was nothing else he could do at night. On the next day, Sugu asked Xianghe and Ruhi to take him to the nearby tutelage to ask if there was any big event in the near future. In the tutelary mansion full of Yamato style, Sugu did not see the admiral here, but saw the secretary ship here. Sugu explained the purpose of his visit, and the beautiful-looking secretary ship said, the admiral took the sisters out, and they haven't come back in the past 2 days. It seems that there was an attack by the deep-sea ship girl. Sugu suddenly thought of the deep-sea Yamato. The secretary ship said in surprise, how could it be the deep-sea flagship? It's just an attack from an ordinary deep-sea ship. Don't worry. Sugu thought about it, it was not that easy for a deep-sea flagship to appear. If it were so easy for a deep-sea flagship to appear, the world would be over. He is a little afraid of being bitten by a snake once, and will be afraid of the well rope for 10 years. Even though the secretary said it was not an important matter and asked what happened, Sugu decided to go and have a look. I took the liberty of asking someone to borrow a yacht. On the way, Xianghe and Ruhi flew carrier-based aircraft to search for the enemy, and everyone arrived in another city. There were not so many accidents and crises. It was indeed a deep-sea attack that didn't matter. It was just a show. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 467. I took the liberty of borrowing a yacht to prevent accidents, and asked Shokaku and Ziwikaku to fly the carrier-based aircraft to search for the enemy during the voyage. 2 high-level aircraft carriers are looking for enemies. Unless they encounter deep-sea submarines, they are generally very stable below. In short, the yacht arrived at its destination smoothly. It was not another city in Lianghe County or Hesheng, but a garrison built on the outskirts of the city. The yacht docked at the pier of the town hall and successfully entered the townhouse as the admiral. Although the place was in a state of war readiness, there was no chilling atmosphere. No one is running around and reporting back a lot of bad news. No one looked at the map with a worried expression. No one is yelling, which means things aren't bad. No one regrets, which means no one has sunk. Sugu stood in the town guard's mansion. Not long after, he saw an admiral walking over and said hesitantly, that ship of yours. Sugu said, we borrowed it. I'll just say it. The explanation is clear. This admiral is the admiral of Lianghe County, named Nohara Naoto. He recognized the yacht in his garrison and felt a little confused when he saw it. When I got down to the dock, I immediately realized that the people inside the yacht were not people I knew. Nohara Naoto said, I see, you went to my garrison, You asked for Tianlong Ryuada. If you haven't returned home for a few days, you should be worried. Don't worry, it's okay. Sugu originally learned what happened from the other party's secretaryship. However, the secretaryship's understanding of things was also not comprehensive enough. Now that Nohara Naoto had introduced the matter in detail, Sugu finally knew the specific process and the situation of Tianlong and Ryuada, and his worries were relieved. This is an attack by a deep-sea ship, not a deep-sea flagship, so the danger is not great. However, for Tianlong and Longtian, it is a deep-sea attack after all, and they cannot let things go casually. Anyway, Xiao Xiang Liden was at home, mainly because he was worried that they would become naughty, not because he was worried that they would be in danger. Sugu whispered, "Defensive battle. Just as there is defensive warfare in the game, there is also one here. When my own garrison was attacked by the deep-sea Yamato before, it was considered a defensive battle. His defense was successful, and he also got the destroyer Lan as a reward. Although she is not very strong, she is also a cute little girl, and her exaggerated expressions often make people happy. During the defensive battle, fortunately, I had Lexington, Saratoga, and other girls, so I was able to resist the deep-sea ship girls. If only York City could only hide in the basement and shiver, then the garrison would be attacked. If the defense is unsuccessful, the garrison that was built so hard will turn into ruins. Although it can be rebuilt, it is not that easy. There are large and small defensive battles, and large ones require the concentration of forces from all aspects. For example, on the deep-sea Yamato, the Academy took the lead from the beginning, and then the ship girl headquarters where the Enterprise was located also had to come forward. A small defensive battle, where a deep-sea destroyer bombards your garrison, is also considered a defensive battle. This defensive battle was not a big one, but it was not a small one. It was difficult for a garrison to resist, so many people came over. Once a lot of people came, things became easier. Sugu just came, and Nohara Naoto explained the situation to him. Defensive battles are all ordinary deep-sea destroyers and deep-sea light cruisers. Although they are not strong, there are many, and no one can leave casually. Deep-sea ship girls don't have much wisdom, or rather they have wisdom, but they awaken from the harsh history and memories in steel, and their minds are blinded by hatred since birth. Only powerful deep-sea ship girls can get rid of the shackles of hatred. On the other hand, warships were born as weapons in the past. They had bright spots and a lot of bad history, such as bombing ordinary civilians. Moreover, the crews were more desperate when they sank. This is why deep-sea ship girls are more popular than ship girls. As reason. Deep-sea ship girls come one after another, sometimes many come at once. There are many explanations in the world for the waves of deep-sea ship girls that are attacking, but now there is one guess that is the most reliable. There is a deep-sea flagship, and the deep-sea flagship is the reason. Whether the deep-sea ship girls are swarming forward or the deep-sea ship girls are lingering, they all come from the will of the deep-sea flagship. There was no deep-sea flagship this time, and there was speculation of malevolence coming from the sea. Malice drives the deep-sea ship girls to attack from afar, but the deep-sea ship girls wander in different areas of the sea. First come, first served, and they don't know how to organize the team. The deep-sea ship girls who came first formed the first wave of offensive. More deep-sea ship girls came one after another, and it felt like one wave after another. It happens that powerful deep-sea battleships are often located in the depths of the sea, and their speed is generally not as fast as that of deep-sea destroyers. They only appear in the later stages of the defensive battle, which gives the illusion that the attacks of deep-sea battleships are getting stronger and stronger. Speaking of which, this deep-sea attack does not have the deep-sea flagship as the finale. It is just a small fight. It is said to be an attack by the deep-sea ship girl, but it can also be said that everyone is training troops. I learned a lot of knowledge in the academy and a lot of knowledge in the exercises. No matter what, I have to face the deep-sea ship girl myself, dodge the enemy's attacks, and knock down the enemy. Only in this way can I better improve myself. A ship girl, if you don't really face the enemy directly, you will end up talking about it on paper. Visions, combat experience, combat intuition, visually observe the enemy's speed, judge the parabola of the cannonball, and adjust the angle of the fort. Everyone says that a big ship brings a small boat to gain experience, and a big ship brings a small boat to attack, which only allows the small boat to broaden its horizons. How to best utilize one's own strength cannot be solved through classes and exercises. If you want to truly become stronger, it is only possible by fighting in person. After Sugu listened, he nodded. There is no way to gain experience in defensive battles in the game, but in reality it is still considered a battle. Although in addition to fighting, studying in the academy can also improve oneself, and practicing can improve oneself. Just like the retraining of new recruits, they are still worse than the veterans who have fought many battles. The reality is not as simple as the game. Nohara Naoto said, this battle lasted for several days. At the beginning, low-level destroyers were sent to attack. If they were really injured, they would return immediately. As long as they were not sunk at once, they would not be able to return. Generally, there was no danger. The enemy was getting more and more. The stronger they become, the stronger the ship girls we send out will become. Now it's the end. If you don't come here today, Tianlong and Long Tian should go back. Sugu looked strange and said, the deep-sea attack has become like a feast. Everyone trains through the deep-sea ship girl. We didn't want the deep-sea warship girls to appear, but they have appeared. It's good to use them a little. Ha, this is the cleverness of human beings. Although the deep-sea warship girls are powerful, they have neither unity nor brains. They are all idiots. Wadog. It just so happens that they are not attacking the county town, so we don't need to sink them immediately. We can release the water a little and let many ship girls fight and gain experience. Anyway, they attacked the town hall and accidentally bombed the townhouse. The property damage will not be too much. The most important thing is that no one is injured. As everyone talked, Sugu felt completely at ease. It was best that everyone was safe. Whether it's your own ship girl or someone else's ship girl, you all want this. I also brought my ship girls here. They are all destroyers and light cruisers. They rarely have the opportunity to attack. Several guard houses came this time. Look at that person, he is the admiral of the Jianswiven garrison, and that one is the admiral of the Kwai garrison. Looking at the back of a figure, Nohara Naoto curled his lips and said, that person is not an admiral, he is a local congressman and a government official. Although he is in a high position, not every government official is smart. There are many clans and political families here. My father is a congressman, and my son is a congressman. That congressman's brain circuitry is different, you'd better not talk to him, lest you get sulky. Speaking of which, what is your relationship with Tianlong Long Tian? Sugu said, they are admirals. The admiral who abandoned his ship's wife and ran away. Ruhi laughed beside him, and Sugu nodded helplessly and said, yeah, you know that. I pursued them before and wanted to fish them out, and then they said they had an admiral. By the way, these things behind you, I won't talk about it for now, I have something to do and I have to leave. Ruhi said, I think he wanted to speak, but he didn't ask about our identities. How clever. Tianlong and Long Tian were not in danger, so everyone had the time to say these words. Sugu nodded and said, I'm ready to answer. Admiral is disappointed. I have passed the period of showing off my boat, and now I am not afraid of honor or disgrace. Pull. A few people were talking, and then they saw a girl with blonde hair and twin tails walking over. She was wearing an admiral's uniform, and she was obviously an admiral. The blonde girl said, hello. Someone took the initiative to say hello, and Sugu responded with a smile and said, "Hello." We all chatted for a few words, and Sugu knew that the other person was an intern admiral and wanted to get to know more admirals. I am not the admiral nearby. My garrison is far away. Yes, I also graduated from Sichuan. Actually, there is no coincidence. There are only a few naval academies dedicated to training admirals. You ask me, who are they? Just waiting for your words, Sugu said, Xianghe Ruhi, and Turpitz. When the other party left aggrievedly, Ruhi said, Admiral, you are really full of malice. The other party left, and Sugu saw the other party standing with another tall admiral. They seemed a little close, but not in the way that a couple would be. It can be heard from the conversation just now that Admiral Gao should be the admiral of the townhouse where she was interning. I was so far away that I couldn't hear what they were saying. I could only see them looking at me as they talked. On the other side, the tall admiral looked at the blonde girl with twin tails who looked aggrieved. He frowned and said, Ali, what's wrong? I've told you before, even if the admiral insists, he is basically a good person, but not every admiral is easy to talk to. Are you frustrated? Not every admiral likes to make friends and socialize, and it depends on each person's personality. Being good at dancing is a bonus, not the only thing. Admiral will pay more attention to see if he persists. The blonde girl Ali said, Brother Joe, it's not that you're depressed, he's very easy to talk to. Then why are you like this? I'm just a little aggrieved. Aggrieved? Why are you aggrieved? Ari said, I just talked to him a few words, and I asked him, who is his ship girl? The regular aircraft carrier Shokakuzi Wikaku, and Turpitz, the lonely queen of the north. I thought about it, I only have destroyers, why is the gap between people so big? The admiral, who was called Brother Joe by the girl, remained silent, thinking to himself, don't ask casually when you are not mentally prepared, what is your ship girl? This is a wise saying. But things have come to this, and besides, Ali is still a trainee admiral, so he should be tolerated. Brother Joe looked at the few people in the distance, organized his words in his mind, and said, Xianghe Ruhi is very good, Bizai is also very good, they are both battleships. Although you only have destroyers, don't be discouraged. In fact, the world is fair. Battleships are very strong, but they also consume a lot of resources. One attack costs a lot. If you are injured, it will cost a lot of steel. Ship type doesn't have much meaning. There are many things where destroyers defeat battleships, and level is the most important. Many people divide training level into level 100. With the same resources, destroyers can reach level 50, but battleships only have about 2 levels. Level 10. Even though she is Bizai, her training level is definitely not as good as your destroyer. After all, the high consumption means it is difficult to have a chance to attack, otherwise the garrison would have been unable to make ends meet. As for the equipment of destroyers, torpedoes are easy to obtain. But the equipment of battleships and carrier-based aircraft are hard to come by, and cannons are also quite difficult. Generally, the top standard is Mk6 with armor-piercing bombs, and the bomber Wyvern with the fighter Sea Fang. If you want to get such a suit, so I've only seen it on a few ship girls over the years. You just became the admiral. I don't know what the atmosphere is like in the academy now. Are the theories of Europeans and Africans prevalent? But I want to tell you, don't be influenced by the opinions of those Africans and Europeans. Europeans there are battleships, and Africans have destroyers. But there has never been a saying that Africans cannot be admirals. People living in this world do not pay attention to luck. Ability and hard work can make an admiral progress, and luck is just the icing on the cake. To provide help in times of need. While the two were talking, a ship girl walked over and said, Ajo, Ali, what are you talking about? It's nothing. Did you see that admiral? His ship girls are Xianghe, Ziwehe, and Bizai. Then Ari was slightly shocked, and I'm giving her psychological counseling. Brother Joe continued, I have been an admiral for so many years. Since you are an intern in my guardhouse, I have to tell you something. He reached out and pressed his admiral's hat. He lowered his head slightly, then raised his head, waved his hand towards the sun, and said, God is fair. When he closes one door, he also opens another window. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 468. Going up the long, curved steps of the governor's mansion, Sugu stood on a high platform. There are many people standing on the platform. It would be terrible if a piece of artillery fire flew towards this direction at this time. Just as the deep-sea ship girl is the enemy of the ship girl is also the enemy of the deep-sea ship girl. Even though the deep-sea ship girl is not very intelligent and is blinded by hatred and anger, she can still tell who is the greater threat. When there are ship girls around, they will not bombard the shore unless it is an accidental shooting. Sugu stood on the platform and looked at the sea in the distance. He could only see small black dots. After thinking for a while, he asked someone to borrow a telescope. Through the telescope, he could barely see clearly what was happening in the distance. He is just an ordinary person, no better than a ship girl. The carrier-based aircraft can be regarded as the eyes, and the radar can barely be regarded as the eyes. Even with a telescope, there was still no way to see clearly, and then Ziwehe broadcast the live broadcast to him. Xianghe and Ziwehe had already launched the carrier-based aircraft, but the carrier-based aircraft did not take back and kept hovering in the sky. The battle was also for troop training. They did not rashly control the carrier-based aircraft to join the battlefield, but only observed the situation on the battlefield. We saw Tianlong and Long Tian. They did not participate in the battle. They were outside the battlefield. Sugu said, the reason for not participating in the battle is to give the newcomers a chance to practice. The reason for standing by is to protect the accidentally injured ship girl and avoid being sunk by secondary damage. New Orleans, that person should be the heavy cruiser New Orleans. She is headless, really a headless horseman. She fired at the deep-sea light cruiser, but all of them failed. Her level is terrible. Sugu said, you think everyone is like you, and it is normal to fight for a long time. Ruhi said with a playful smile, I thought you were complimenting me. Well, I still think my level is terrible, not even as good as Bazai. Bazai also knew how to be angry. She said, I'm very powerful. Several people were talking, and Sugu suddenly heard footsteps. He turned around and saw Admiral Naoto Nohara again. I shouldn't have come here to trouble you, but now a wave of enemies is coming, 2 deep-sea battleships. Even though he didn't say it explicitly, Sugu was still able to understand the meaning of the other person's words. He asked, do you need help? How is your ship girl? Sugu looked at Bazai and thought, if it were Bismarck, as long as she stood here, no one would doubt her strength. The same goes for the Prince of Wales. He doesn't need to show off his ship uniform, he can make people feel frightened just by his momentum. Bazai is different from everyone else. She looks listless, which makes people doubt her fighting ability. In addition, Shokaku has a gentle appearance. Ziwehe is much better and slightly reassuring. It's impossible to say that your ship's wife is the best in the world. You can find a deep-sea flagship and then ask if my ship's wife is great. Sugu said, there is no problem in leaving the 2 deep-sea battleships to us. I'm sorry to bother you, we will pay for it as soon as it is consumed. Okay, don't look like you are hesitating to speak. We have made a plan, and we can also deal with the 2 deep-sea battleships. Mainly, the ones around you, the ship girls are Xianghe, Ziwehe and Bazai. Yes. They are all capital ships. On the one hand, more people bring greater strength and insurance. On the other hand, actually, everyone wants to see how good your ship girls are in combat. Sugu grinned and thought, since you are seeking your own death, I don't mind. After thinking about it again, he decided to seek everyone's opinions and asked, Xianghe, Ziwahe, are you going to attack? Ruhi cracked his fingers, cracked his knuckles a few times, and said, you have already promised, and then you asked for our opinion. It doesn't matter to me, I haven't been active for a long time, and I also want to go out to see Tianlong and Ryuada. Xiankeku said, Ziwakaku alone is enough. I am worse than her. Ziwakaku attacks, and I protect the admiral. Bizai pulled Sugu's clothes. She wanted to say, I don't want to attack. However, looking at Sugu staring at her, she knew that her admiral was as annoying as her sister, always wanting her to move more. She said worriedly, anyway, just destroy the enemy. I'll destroy the enemy immediately. Are you back? Bizai and Ruhi walked off the platform. They were not the only ones to attack. There was also a tall woman with black hair tied into a ponytail standing there. Seeing the two people, the tall woman followed them down the stairs and said with a smile, hello, I am Nagato. I work at the Kenmei headquarters. I am the branch manager. You are Turpitz and Ziwakaku. Hello. Beizai has no interest in strangers, and of course her character cannot be cold-faced. Ziwahi is very sensible. In fact, she doesn't know whether to say she is sensible or naughty. She smiled and said, I have heard of you, Nagato, Big 7, you are very, very powerful. Thank you for the compliment. There were many polite words, and Bizai became a little impatient. She said, let's attack quickly and destroy the enemy quickly. I want to rest. I just came out and wanted to take a rest. Who is this? Nagato brushed her bangs. She was not used to complaining and said, don't worry, the enemy is not close yet. We just discovered them through carrier-based aircraft in advance. The two deep-sea battleships were originally near the Aoi Sea. Their models are. Nagato naturally believed that he was the flagship, and it was of course his mission to introduce information. I originally saw Admiral Joe comforting Ali, but then I heard that there was a Turpitz. I deliberately found someone to ask the other party to attack together, with the idea of safety first. After all, deep-sea battleships cannot be easily used for troop training. On the other hand, as Big 7, I have some thoughts in mind that I want to compare. But ideas are ideas. Even if she wanted to see the opponent's combat power, she would never do anything to hide information that might put her companions in danger. However, before she finished speaking, Ziwahi said, two deep-sea battleships, are they deep-sea flagships? No. That's good, there's no need to say so much. Beizai blinked and joked, you don't need to tell me who and how many people are opposite, you just need to tell me the time and place. Nagato didn't know what expression to use, thinking, you two are too confident. This is a battle, you can't be so casual. She said helplessly, you still have to be careful in battle. It is still a bit difficult to deal with deep-sea battleships. She rambled on, but Bizai was already impatient and said, Ruhi, let's leave quickly. We will go back after destroying the enemy, as agreed, one by one, you can't sink them all. Ziwahi said, speaking of which, we sank a deep-sea battleship. That was a deep-sea battleship. Is there any reward for that, Admiral? There is no reward. I have won MVP before and there was no reward. I am just afraid that he will laugh at me for not having any results. After hearing the words of the two people, Nagato was a little amused. Even if she is the MVP, she is still her own MVP. She is quite confident in fighting. She said, you have finished dividing, so what should I do? Beizai thought for a moment and said awkwardly, only 2 results are not enough, otherwise you can just cheer next to me and call 666. Nagato felt that these people were unreliable for a moment, so he put his hand on his forehead. We are attacking, let's finish the work quickly. After walking down the steps and arriving at the dock, Beizai unfolded his ship's uniform as he spoke. Nagato looked over and saw that the equipment would look different on different people. But anyone who knows something about the equipment can still easily tell what the equipment is from the caliber and many other factors. She saw the ultra-long-range 406mm cat gun and the triple 16-inch gun Mk6. Ziwihi also unfolded his ship suit, breathed a sigh of relief on the arrow, set up his bow and shot the arrow, and the arrow flew across the sky and turned into a carrier-based aircraft. La-7, Coach Head-Up aircraft, P-39, Pokrishkin aircraft, B-25, A-2. After all, in order to ensure Sugu's safety, the ship girl who goes out must be equipped with the best equipment. Beizai said, just destroy them. After destroying them, we can go back. Nagato was thinking about his 41 cm continuous cannon, and nodded in a daze, wondering if he should unfold the ship's equipment. Everyone's turrets obviously have the same caliber, but my ship's equipment feels like a small toothpick. Yes, you can go back after destroying the enemy. As Nagato said, he had already seen Beizai sailing to the sea. Soon after, he adjusted the angle of the fort and blasted out the artillery fire. It wasn't until the roar started that she saw Beizai's expression. His expression was still lazy and his movements were lazy, but he could still see calmness in his eyes, without the slightest trace of panic. Attack decisively and without hesitation. Unlike many new ship girls, they are often worried about missing a shot, which results in delaying a good opportunity. After all, there is never a 100% hit. As long as it is as high as possible, the more you pursue perfection, the less perfect it becomes. This man is quite powerful. It seems like there is nothing wrong with me at all. They sank, we won, you guys are good. It seems like he really just shouted come on. On the other side, Ali, a girl with blonde hair and twin tails, was holding a telescope. She said, I saw that Beizai. Her equipment looks very good. The tall Admiral Brother Joe also held a telescope. He was silent for a moment and said, the equipment in Beizai is very good. I want Beizai. She is so cute and beautiful. Brother Joe, do you think I can build it in the future? Brother Joe was silent, thinking, I also want Beizai, how can it be that easy? I have been an admiral for many years, but I still don't have a battleship. An Mk6, I want it too, it's so difficult to build. Ali added, no Beizai, Xianghe and Ruhi are also very good. Xianghe looks so gentle. Brother Joe leaned on the guardrail and looked at the excited girl beside him. The other person is lively and cute, and he fell in love with him as soon as he came to his garrison. It's not the kind of love that comes from love, but the feeling that the other person is like a sister is lovable and makes people want to take care of and protect them. At this time, he wanted to tell the other party against his will, of course you can build it as long as you work hard. After all, if you can't build it once, you can always build it 100 times. If that doesn't work, then just 1,000 times, but which admiral can build it 100 or 1,000 times? Resources are not so easy to obtain. He looked at the girl's innocent face and thought of the pain and suffering over the years. He would have to face it one day. No matter how big the bubble is, it is still a bubble and will burst as soon as you poke it. He still remembered his life in the academy. Those Europeans built capital ships such as aircraft carriers, battleships, and battle cruisers as soon as they entered school. The construction site was in the warehouse. They led the eldest sister out of the warehouse, and then asked you, Mensin built the avant-garde. Historically, the avant-garde's equipment was picked up from other people's junk. I heard it was a pot guard. I don't know either. Do you know, is this good, senior? Not to mention, as long as it is a battleship, It is already very good. The Vanguard is also a cutting-edge battleship that picks up rubbish. It's great. I really want to say, it's not great, it's best to let it go. In the end, he said nothing and left without saying a word. If there is anything more uncomfortable than this, it is seeing a girl sitting under a big tree with her young daughter, feeling unhappy. I thought to myself that building a destroyer was no big deal, after all, many people were destroyers. So I wanted to go up to comfort me, but when I saw the girl raised her head, with tears in her eyes, she said she was a submarine mackerel. Submarines are not powerful. Even destroyers can easily deal with them. I want a capital ship, otherwise even if heavy cruisers are good. The girl's cute face and somewhat confused eyes made people wonder whether it was intentional or unintentional. Submarines are rubbish, fish are rubbish, and newcomers can't use them at all, so give me the fish. Life in the academy is hard every step of the way. What scares me the most is hearing someone say, "This is a newbie, I wonder if it's great." I wish I could be surrounded by Bismarcks, Lexingtons, Richelieu, Lyons, and Sheik Hung. Then when I saw the newcomers, I said this in an understatement, "Tell me what you built, and let me see what you built." What? Clouds blocked the sun. He leaned on the railing and looked at the sky, where seagulls kept flying over, recalling the tragic experiences of the past. To say or not to say? After thinking about it, he finally felt that he should give the newcomers some dreams. He avoided the important and said lightly, "Bizai, Xianghe, Ruhi, they are the battleships. I say, don't think about the battleships, they are too difficult to train. As long as you have better luck in the ship girls and equipment, it will be enough. These are all you can take shortcuts, but there is no shortcut to becoming stronger. You need to take one step at a time, and the growth of a capital ship will inevitably be accompanied by the consumption of countless resources." I still say the same thing, Ali, don't think they are battleships. Well, the equipment is also quite gorgeous. However, what determines victory or defeat and strength is always training. The few sorties make it difficult for them to become stronger. So this time they attack. Look how long it will take them to defeat the deep-sea battleship. 1 minute has passed. Look, they didn't hit the enemy, but there was a water column rising. 5 minutes have passed and we still haven't hit the enemy. Their training level must not be high. I don't know much about Ziwahi's carrier-based aircraft. Her ability to control carrier-based aircraft seems to be somewhat good. Most people can't do those flying moves. It's been 10 minutes, look at them, they're still, well, they seem to have sunk the deep-sea battleship. Ali said, sinking a deep-sea battleship in 10 minutes is pretty impressive. It's very powerful. Really, how should I put it? Ali, I have to tell you a fact. I remember I told you that God is fair, and he is closing a when the door opens, another window also opens. The blonde girl heard the intermittent voice of her senior. She could become an admiral, not an idiot. Something suddenly occurred to her mind, her pretty little face turned pale, she clenched her fists, and she said hesitantly, "Brother Joe, those words, don't tell me, you said that to comfort me, there is no such thing at all. It's not wrong. That sentence is not wrong. It's not to comfort you." Ali smiled and said, "That's good. It's not just about comforting me. What does Brother Joe want to say to me?" "I just want to tell you, there are some people." God opened a door for him. Not only did he not close the window, he also added 15 floor-to-ceiling windows. He also gave him an 800 square meter villa with a garden and hardcover. Just bring your bags and move in. Luxury cars, swimming pools, and parking spaces are all available. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 469. Miyuki's dodge action just now was wrong. Although he was not hit, he may not have such good luck next time. The well has been damaged. We can't wait until things get worse to avoid accidents. She has participated in 3 battles and has enough experience. She must be allowed to return. Although this is not the depth of the sea, as long as it does not sink directly, it will be very easy. We'll be able to return to the shore soon. I'm afraid something might happen to her. The 2 people standing on the sea talking, judging from their ship uniforms and similar appearances, they are both light cruisers. Sister ships, Tianlong and Ryada. Judging from their standing postures and expressions, you can easily tell who is the older sister and who is the younger sister. The elder sister Tianlong has long hair shawl, while the younger sister Ryushan has long hair divided into 2 bunches. They did not participate in the battle. They came here just to prevent the newcomers from having any accidents during the battle. Signaling Oi to return, the battle continued. Soon after, the younger sister, Tatsuda, said, "New Orleans seems to have just woken up. The battle now looks decent." Tianlong looked at the short-haired girl who kept sailing in the distance and then turned skillfully under the gunfire, and said, "She still has a long way to go." Tatsuda nodded, thinking that New Orleans still has a long way to go, but he is still a newcomer, and it is enough to be able to achieve this level. His sister is sometimes too strict. It's almost fine, as long as... Before Tatsuda finished speaking, she suddenly heard the sound of propellers, and a carrier-based aircraft flew overhead like a show-off. She said, "Why are there carrier-based aircraft? There are no aircraft carriers and light aircraft carriers participating in this battle. Well, by the way, I think those carrier-based aircraft are somewhat familiar." Tianlong looked toward the sky. Except for the first few carrier-based aircraft that flew over their heads like a show-off, the carrier-based aircraft behind them were hovering in the sky. The distance is so far and the speed is so fast that it can no longer be seen clearly. Didn't see it? No carrier-based aircraft was seen, but after a while, the radar suddenly discovered that an enemy was approaching. Tianlong said, "So whether it is a light carrier or an aircraft carrier, the enemy is better than us." It is said that the purpose of this deep-sea attack is the impact has spread all the way to Kuihai, where there are 2 deep-sea battleships, and they came over as expected. I also discovered it, a deep-sea battleship. We can't let the deep-sea battleships directly enter the battlefield. What is that? Tianlong saw the artillery fire flying across the sky, the artillery fire arcing high across the sky, and the range was a bit far. Tatsuda also raised his head and said, "The range is so far, Nagato must have come over. But whose carrier-based aircraft should they belong to? Remember that the 100-eyed giant did not come this time. Nagato is the branch chief of the Canmas headquarters, and the 100-eyed giant also works at the Canmas headquarters. We all belong to the same system and different departments, so we still recognize each other. Since Nagato is here, we don't need to worry about it. Now that Nagato is out, there is no need for 2 people." Even though they were unwilling to do so, they also knew that facing the deep-sea battleship, the 2 of them were probably somewhat powerless. If there is no support, the 2 people must divert the deep-sea battleship to prevent the enemy from directly joining the battlefield. Since there is support, there is no need to meddle. Tatsuda looked into the distance and said, "It's not Nagato, there are 3 of them. Nagato is Big 7, and Big 7 is a slow ship. Judging from the speed, the leader and the one who fired should be a high-speed battleship. The ones behind are there is also a regular aircraft carrier that is sailing. It feels like they are also somewhat familiar. The battlefield here has also reached a fever pitch." Boom. The water column rises. Tianlong said, "Ryuada, stop minding your own business, Miyuki's situation is not good." Well, she dodged it again, good luck. The destroyer Miyuki was almost hit by the deep-sea heavy cruiser, so no matter how curious you are, you can't pay too much attention. The battle was so intense that it became a stalemate, and then became calmer. New Orleans sank a heavy cruiser, and the battle here has entered the final work. Tianlong and Long Tian turned their attention to another battlefield again, and suddenly found that the deafening sound of gunfire had ended, and the deep-sea battleship had been defeated in a short time. Ryuada looked at the scene in the distance, a little surprised, and said, "They just destroyed the deep-sea battleship." "It seems so. It hasn't been 10 minutes yet. 2 deep-sea battleships were sunk." "Sister, who do you think those people are?" "Whoever it is, it has nothing to do with us. That aircraft carrier is coming." The aircraft carrier was originally at the end of the battlefield, but now it is sailing this way. Tatsuda quickly saw the other person's appearance and the familiar short hair. She said, "It seems to be Ruhi." "No wonder." "No, Ziwihi's carrier-based aircraft should be the BTD-1 destroyer and Seafang. The carrier-based aircraft that just flew over are not. The other party is getting closer and closer, and is even waving and shouting." "Tianlong Long Tian." Tatsuda said, "That's Ziwihi. Shokaku and Ziwikaku have been out for a long time, saying that they want to see Akage. The 2 sisters have great admiration for Ichikeku. Although in fact, their combat effectiveness is greater than that of a naval battle. In short, they had been out for a long time, and they were talking about it some time ago. It was just right to come back, but they didn't expect that they would come. The finishing work has already begun on the battlefield, and besides them there are others." After thinking about it, Tianlong and Ryatian sailed towards each other and said, "Ruhi, it's you, are you back? Why are you here?" Ziwihi straightened his short hair that was messed up by the sea breeze during the high-speed voyage, and said, "I was worried about you, so I came here. I wanted to watch a show, but I was asked to attack." "Nagato, please." "Yes." "When did you come back?" "A few days ago." Tatsuda asked, "Went to Chuangziu. How was it? Is the Akage instructor from Chuangziu College the Akage we know?" Ruhi thought that going to Chuangziu and meeting Akage and the Admiral this time was so great. She laughed and said, "Yes, that's the Akage we know." Tianlong and Long Tian were also a little surprised, they didn't expect it. Tianlong said, "She is still in Chuangziu and came back with you. Since she is an instructor now, she probably can't just walk away." Akage and Kaga, the first ship battle, have always held an important position in the hearts of the Japanese ship girls who guarded the fort. For Tianlong and Ryuada, the current situation of Akage and Kaga is still worthy of attention. Ziwihi blinked and said, "Kaga is not here, Akage is not here. Well, speaking of which, we met a very bad admiral and brought him here. He abandoned his own ship girl and harassed his own ship girl." "Squeeze your own ship girl, you are responsible for the discipline, the gendarmerie. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 470. Ruhi smiled like a little fox. Although there are some differences, her personality is similar to Saratoga's. Perhaps it is because they all have a gentle sister, and under her meticulous care, they develop such a character. Of course, if you really want to talk about it, the ship girl was born from steel, and her personality was already fixed when she woke up. Anyway, it is all the sustenance of memories in steel. In history, the USS Saratoga pretended to be its sister USS Lexington during exercises. Then the Saratoga had a naughty character in people's impressions. The Saratoga who woke up from the steel basically also had the same character. Naughty character. The Ziwikaku was a lucky ship in history, and my sister was the one who suffered the consequences. In addition, she escaped an air raid by hiding in a tropical storm, and is remembered as a naughty and cunning character. There are 1,000 Hamlets in the eyes of 1,000 people, and there are 1,000 Ruhi with 1,000 looks and personalities. Your Ziwahi, my Ziwahi, his Ziwahi, they are all different Ziwahi. Anyway, standing on the sea, wearing a white shirt and cropped pants, Ziwahi has a slightly cunning and naughty character. You are in charge of discipline, the gendarmerie. As the heads of the Lianghe County office under the ship girl headquarters, Tianlong and Long Tian are responsible for various trivial matters, and the military police is one of their responsibilities. I don't know why Ziwahi has such a sense of justice, because he was obviously unwilling to invite her to join the Kanji headquarters before. Tianlong could hear the meaning of Ruhi's words, glanced at the battlefield, tilted his head and said, "Did you bring that admiral here?" Ruhi nodded and said, "It's so bad, of course it must be handed over to a discipline committee member like you, well, the military police. We are the military police. We need a summons to find someone. If you are kidnapped, if someone else's ship girl comes to your door, you will be prosecuted." Ruhi looked at the serious expressions of Tianlong and Ryuada and couldn't help laughing. He then straightened his face and waved his hands and said, "It doesn't matter. The ship girls in his guardhouse all support me in doing this. Even though he is a bad admiral, the ship girl insists that non-compliance is non-compliance. However, Ziwahi is everyone's companion, so he can't really turn the other party to the military police." "You." Tianlong just opened his mouth and then shut up. When she noticed someone coming, she looked to the side. Tatsuda said, "Then let's make up for the summons. What's the name of that admiral, where is the garrison, and who is the secretaryship?" Ruhi touched his forehead, thinking that it would be pointless if he told lies. She said, "The admiral who graduated from Sichuan-sho, the secretaryship is Lexington," and then. Before she could say anything, a voice sounded from beside her, full of resentment. "Ruhi, you ran so fast and didn't wait for me. And we agreed that everyone would get a result, but you went back on your promise." Ruhi saw Bizai coming over. Bizai was arranging her medium-length pink hair in the sea breeze. She said, "I obviously left one for you." Bizai said, "It's no fun to do a last-ditch attack." When Tianlong and Long Tian saw Bizai, it was impossible for Bizai not to recognize them. Although it is not as good as Lexington and Saratoga among battleships and battle cruisers, the number of appearances of Bizai is at the top level, surpassing Bismarck, Lion, and other big-ticket battleships. At first, I felt that several people were familiar to each other, but it turned out to be Bizai. But why was Bizai and Ruhi together? With Bizai's personality, he likes to stay at home. Even if you go out, you should always be surrounded by Bismarck and Prince Eugen. Ruhi is a member of the aircraft carrier group and has never formed a mixed attack formation with Bizai. The relationship between the two is average. They were not idiots like Quincy, and they also thought that Ziwahi's carrier-based aircraft were not BTD-1 destroyers and sea fangs. Besides, those carrier-based aircraft were still familiar and easily destroyed the deep-sea flagship, probably the hero aircraft. Thinking about it again, Ruhi hadn't answered the question directly in his words, and it was obvious who the evil admiral was. Well, he still subconsciously doubted it, fearing that Kong would be happy. Tianlong looked at Bizai, hesitated to speak, and finally said, "Bizai." Before she could raise her doubts, Bizai said, "Tianlong, and Ryuada, we have finally found you. The admiral said that after we eliminate the deep-sea ship girls, we can go back. I still don't know what's going on, so Tatsuda said, is it true?" Ruhi shrugged her shoulders, feeling a little bored, and said, "Who do you think such a bad admiral is?" After Ziwahi finished speaking, he suddenly thought, yes, his admiral is really bad at what he does. He left the garrison for such a long time without leaving a single word. He repeatedly harassed Helena, although now he was given a ring. Like a landlord squeezing long-term workers, squeezing Tianlong and Long Tian expeditions, squeezing many people to continue expeditions. Such a bad admiral, why does everyone still want to stay by his side? It's really pitiful to be a ship girl. It's like a lifetime mistake when you first meet the admiral. It seems that the wording is wrong. Well, after getting along with each other for a while, the admiral gives people a completely different feeling, and it feels good. Is he back again? Ryuda understands Ziwahi's character. If Xianghe said this, everyone would definitely believe it. As for Ziwahi, it's not like he has never played the game of crying wolf. Although it has been said once, it has not been repeated. Long Tian turned to look at Beizai, who was squinting his eyes. Beizai was here. Beizai is a homebody, she never plays pranks. Still a little doubtful, Tatsuda said, Ruhi, are you not joking? Ruhi said, how could I joke about something like this? We can see the admiral when we go back. He is with Sister Xianghe. When you see him, you can use your knife to cut him, shua, chop it into several pieces. Long Tian, you want the left hand, and I want the right hand. Tianlong wants the left leg, and Beizai wants the right leg. Sell the rest. How much per pound is appropriate? Ryatian lowered his head and said, what about Xianghe? Let's give her some. Beizai looked at Long Tian in surprise and said, I don't want it. You guys are so scary. You have turned into a dark fairy tale. Ruhi looked evil, bared his teeth and claws, and said, everyone who sees it has a share, you have to take it even if you don't want it. Tatsuda said, Ruhi, I can't tell you are so dark. Ruhi made the figure 8 with his thumb and index finger and placed it under his chin, deliberately making a strange sound, ggg. Long Tian was laughing, Beizai was also laughing, but Tianlong remained silent. Ruhi said, Tianlong, what do you mean by this? You are not surprised or happy. That is our admiral. Hey, it is our admiral. Therefore, ship girls are often easily influenced by admirals. Ziwahi spread his hands and said, Tianlong, you make me lose face. Beizai curled her lips. She was a little unhappy at being sent out and said, what's there to be happy about? He's the most troublesome. Ah, let's go back quickly anyway. I want to go home. In Beizai's mind, everyone went out because they were worried about Tianlong and Long Tian. Now they should be able to go home after finding Tianlong and Long Tian. You can rest when you go home and don't want to go out. Tianlong took a deep look at the battlefield and said, we are still working. Well, a small job. Beizai looked around and saw Nagato sailing over. Who said she was Big 7, with the slowest speed? In order to achieve her goal, Beizai will become super smart. She sailed to Nagato and said seriously, Nagato, I want to ask you a favor. In the ice and snow, backflip 720 degrees, turn 360 degrees, little toe on the ground, no splash. Beg on your knees. Nagato had just approached and was a little surprised when he heard Beizai's words. To be honest, Beizai left a deep impression on her. It was a mountain that could not be climbed. It was a typical example of pretending to be a pig and eating a tiger, even though it was a fat tiger. Although they had only been together for a short time, she had a deep understanding of Beizai's lack of moral integrity. She crossed her arms over her chest, like a little girl who was afraid of being attacked by her breasts, and said, what do you want from me? It's very simple, this. Tianlong also saw Nagato, and she said, Nagato, we have to leave first, please pay attention to the battlefield. Soon after, I watched several people leave. Nagato, who had been confused from the beginning of the battle until now, looked at the sky. The clouds that blocked the sun were beautiful. She looked around her, and the battle on the battlefield was entering its final stages. She thought to herself, she was the head of the ship girl headquarters, she had some status, and she talked and laughed with many people. As an important leader in the defensive war that started a few days ago, how could she start doing this? On the other side, Ruhi, Bizai, Tianlong, and Long Tian returned to the shore. They walked up the steps from the pier to the platform. First they saw Xianghe and then Sugu, who looked like they had been waiting for a long time. Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 471. Tianlong and Long Tian are no better than Lexington and Saratoga, one wife and one girl, and they will never admit their mistakes no matter what. The two of them have similar looks, whether it's eyebrows or lips. The bodies are also similar, tall and curvy at the same time. They both look like urban white-collar workers. The only difference that can be easily seen between the two people is their different hairstyles. One has long hair shawl, and the other has long hair divided into two bunches. In addition, you can tell who is who by the way two people talk. In short, Sugu was still able to distinguish their identities clearly and avoid the embarrassment of calling the wrong person. When they met and recognized each other, Tianlong and Long Tian had cold expressions. Those who know it know that it is the reunion between the admiral and the ship girl after a long separation. Those who don't know probably think that it is a negotiation between Party A and Party B. Tianlong and Long Tian have two poker faces. Looking at the appearance of the two people, Sugu secretly thought in his heart, it's fake, Tianlong and Long Tian can't have this kind of attitude, they should obviously have a good impression. After all, the expedition has gained a good reputation. From the beginning of their transformation to the end of their abandonment, the two of them have not changed as captains of the expedition for a long time. Coldness is coldness, poker face is poker face. Sugu lay on the railing of the high platform of the governor's mansion, looking at the sea in the distance and listening to the roaring sounds coming from time to time. I thought to myself that the two of them were probably angry because they didn't say goodbye. Perhaps it's due to their personality. No matter how happy some people are, they won't show it easily. We can't ask everyone to be Lexington. When we meet, we should give each other a warm hug. This was already the case, Sugu didn't think much about it. We have been waiting at home for several days and haven't seen you come back, so we are a little worried. We have told Xiaoxiang Leiden that we will be out for a few days. They are heartless, we are worried. Xiaoxiang Leiden, you haven't gone home. If we hadn't gone back, they would have planned to go to Kyoto. Go back and teach them a lesson. You actually need to participate in the battle. What does the work at the Lianghe County Ship Girl headquarters usually involve? You have to fight when necessary. The rest. Tatsuda looked to the side, and there was a person standing there. She said, it's probably some mediation work, look at that person, he is a member of parliament here, and the admiral of Lianghe County had a conflict with him just a few days ago, and then we need to mediate. Tatsuda pursed his lips and said, not every official is smart, and that congressman is a typical example. He became a congressman not by passing an exam or passing a vote, but just because his family is a political family. You see, no one paid attention to him at all. In fact, no one invited him when he came here this time. The admiral of Lianghe County, his name is Nohara Naoto, had a quarrel with this congressman that day, and finally broke up. It's okay to have different opinions. This kind of thing happens often between admirals and admirals. Even the admiral quarreled with us, but it didn't matter. But this congressman cursed and kept talking. Sugu looked at the congressman and said, no wonder Nohara Naoto told me to ignore him, he gets sulky easily. By the way, what does he scold? Tatsuda tapped the stone railing with his fingers and said, I cursed a lot, for example. Don't be shameless. It's amazing to be an admiral. It's just a weapon. Your ship girl is quite beautiful, I think. Then the congressman was slapped hard, hit in the chest again, and kicked several meters away. It is said that he was just a mean-mouthed person. No one can slap someone in the mouth like this, or kick him several meters away. Maybe a few ribs will be broken. We are from the headquarters of the ship girl. If the congressman files a complaint, we will mediate. He said that there is something wrong with both of you. First of all, it is wrong for him to hit someone, but you can also be regarded as harassing the ship girl and provoking someone. Admiral, why don't we all take a step back and reduce the big deal to the trivial matter? Well, actually we are at odds with each other in this matter. Do some mediation work to avoid sharp conflicts between the admiral and the government. Otherwise, we will be acting as military police. If an admiral harasses a homeless ship girl, then we will go and warn that admiral. Sugu said, the military police, Admiral Hipper and Blucher are also military police. Admiral Hipper, in my impression, hates evil as much as he hates evil. Blucher has a mysterious and confident personality. But they are both military police. We are different from them. They are like police. We are the disciplinary committee, mainly regulating the system. Sugu was a little confused. The military police still had so many twists and turns. Those who are good at fighting have no great achievements. Rather than letting things happen and then fixing them, it is better for nothing to happen. Dress yourself in a seductive way, and then blame others for being perverts. Let me emphasize first that the person who extends a sinful hand is a criminal and will be harmed. There is nothing wrong with the person, however, from another perspective, the girl dressed seductively, which to a certain extent promoted the incident, which is slightly wrong. In order to prevent this kind of thing from happening, a disciplinary committee is needed. Remind everyone to wear good clothes and not be too exposed. Sugu thought that now in the town hall, before he left, Nevada had repeatedly organized people to gather for gambling. He said, when you return to the town hall, I will let you be the disciplinary committee. Wait, that's not right. Before he finished speaking, Sugu thought that if Tianlong and Long Tian were really allowed to serve as discipline committee members, they would carry out a rectification movement in the governor's mansion. Even if they manage Nevada and the city gates are on fire, how can they still sneak around with their sister-in-law Saratoga? How can they still look at the raiders' open bras? I haven't even been to the new coffee shop in Atlanta a few times, and it's full of sexy women. Bunny girls, little maids, all of them, these will be banned, absolutely not. Sugu said, Tianlong, Long Tian, you should continue to be responsible for the expedition, you are the best. It doesn't matter, everything is fine. Tianlong took a deep look at Sugu, and she recalled what happened to the town guard mansion. Breaking free from the shackles of the deep sea, he was taken to the garrison by Firefly and several others. Finally, I had a chance to practice and attack, although frying fish every day was a bit monotonous. I became stronger little by little, and I was able to see the smile on the admiral's face. Finally, I grew up together with Tatsuda, which felt good. Ship girls who have grown up in the garrison are often reused. I wonder if I can be of use. Not to mention being used as highly as Helena, after all, her combat power is not as good as Helena's. Helena is a light cruiser, it doesn't matter if it's a heavy cruiser that can do anti-submarine, is too much. However, it was not reused, or it was reused. In short, the life after that was endless expedition missions. He and his sister led the expeditions as flagships. Occasionally, someone would change and someone else would join the expedition team. After all, some requirements are quite high. How many destroyers and heavy cruisers are needed to successfully complete the mission? Some tasks even require the flagship to be sufficiently trained. I and my sister have grown up and are fully capable of any task requirements. It's good to be reused, especially for long-term expedition missions. Thinking about the Admiral entrusting such an important task to me, I even feel good about it. The expedition mission never stops, with no regrets. However, after the Admiral left and stood on the port, he felt a little at a loss. I worked so hard on the expedition and obtained many resources, just to make the fall of the garrison a little slower when the admiral left the garrison? Everyone works so hard. Tianlong looked at Sugu, who was still talking. I just miss you. It doesn't matter if you want to leave Sanzang's Inn. Please at least remember that you still have a strong garrison. As long as you come back, you will still be the most powerful admiral.